The following is not sponsored, and thank you so much to Michael Rollins for providing an early review copy. Hello everybody, Literary DM here, and welcome to my channel where we talk media and literary theory and apply to tabletop RPGs. And today is a very special video because today we're doing a review for a Twitter friend of ours. But first, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy this video, as well as sharing it with someone else you think would enjoy this third-party content, because trust me, there's a lot to enjoy. So what do you get when you get this product? Well, you get a 12-page PDF, as well as a handful of cards. The PDF goes into basically information regarding all the wigs and things that you can find that are available in this product. The information provided is fantastic, honestly. It goes into extreme detail regarding the products, as well as their history, which is fantastic for most dungeon masters as it can really provide potential plot hooks and plot details into incorporating into this world. There's also a brief bit of information informing the DM as to how one could potentially respond to seeing, well, arcane wigs walking around. Which, for this kind of a product, I think is actually really useful, because these wigs are, to be frank, incredibly strong. Like, holy crap, are they really strong. Some to the point of being potentially game-breaking. However, a lot of them are strong but have very specific uses. Let's take, for instance, the fair price to pay. The fair price to pay gives advantage on bartering, as well as potentially allowing the person to cast suggestion twice per day. This is honestly a pretty good item, and it's incredibly balanced because it's to a specific situation. However, these wigs are fairly common in the world. Someone may be able to recognize what a fair price to pay looks like, which could potentially impact the situation, or at least someone looking on and witnessing this happening. That someone is using arcane means in order to get a once over in a bartering situation. I really like the PDF. The 12-page document is honestly fantastic. And sincerely, the 12-page document is arguably its biggest strength. One thing I look for in anything D&D related is not only magic items, but potentially things that could give Dungeon Masters suggestions on how it can be used in the game. The Dungeon Master is obviously free to ignore this and adjust things accordingly to have it fit their setting, but the fact that it's there means that the person writing it, in this case Michael Rollins, put a lot of thought and attention into this. It's not just something that they're just putting out there for the sake of being powerful, but there's actual thought behind why it's powerful. There's lore and reasoning attached to it. For me, that's something I really want to see in a magic item. I want to see that it has something of a story. Even though the story may be a little goofy, the fact that it exists speaks volumes. It means that time, attention, and care went into it, and this is not something that I just because, well, lol, it's fun and random, and that's what matters. You can have fun, and you can have random, and if one thing this shows is you can also have a story attached to that fun and randomness. They're not mutually exclusive, and I really appreciate that. And honestly, that's probably one of the biggest things about this third-party content is that it's goofy. It's unashamedly goofy and crazy, and it is having a blast with it. If the title doesn't give it away that this is meant to not be taken seriously, then honestly, the art will. Now, one thing that should be stated is when it comes to D&D art, I'm typically one of two minds. I typically like my art to be grounded more in the realms of what you would find in the 80s, or what you find more contemporarily with looking a little bit more realistic. To me, what the art does specifically for those D&D books is it helps communicate what this world looks like and the general tone and feeling of that world. That being said, I absolutely love the art for this book. And the whole reason I love the art is because it keeps up with the almost innocent tone that this supplement provides. It almost comes across as a Munchkin expansion. The art is very reminiscent of Munchkin, and I love it for that. It is communicating non-verbally to the person reading it that this is not meant to be taken seriously. This is meant to be fun and just a wacky good time, and these are almost sometimes intentionally imbalanced because that's the wacky nature of it. But how are the items? You've heard me say multiple times over at this point that some items are really overpowered or really strong. Again, going back to the fair price to pay, this is a very strong item. Getting advantage on all rolls, especially for barter, is really good. However, it's balanced in the sense that it is a very specific situation, and many items are going to be like this throughout. The one item that I think potentially has the most issue, at least one that Dungeon Master should look at most carefully, is the Boxer's Bold Cap. The Boxer's Bold Cap is one of the first items you're going to come across, and to me, it is the most broken item probably in the entire supplement. Mainly because if you were to give this to a monk, it'd be game over. So what does the Boxer's Bold Cap do? Well, hair disappears until it's removed, which is nice and clever. You can almost hide it. I like that little detail. You add triple your proficiency bonus to all attacks done with fists. So for a monk, if you're doing unarmed strikes, or really anybody, if you're doing unarmed strikes with just your fists, you get triple your proficiency bonus to your attack roll. You get the Crusher Feat when using your fist to attack, and you double all damage in an attack. All temporary damage is twice per day. That is probably something that is incredibly balanced because you can actually activate it on certain points. The thing is when you do the triple proficiency bonus to unarmed strikes, well, made with fists, I should say, because unarmed strikes is weird because there are some monk subclasses that mess around with unarmed strike. And the reason why I'm focusing monk is because monk is built for this kind of thing. And this is also kind of why I'm torn on this one specific item, because this item would be perfect for the monk. And if there's one thing that 5th edition hasn't done really well, is really supporting the monk through magic items. So if you have a monk in your party, giving them this item is honestly really beneficial. It will allow them to do a little bit more and feel like the best monk out there, which is why I'm hesitant to say it's a bad item, because it does a lot of good for that class. And there are far more powerful magic items out there for magic users. So again, that's why I'm kind of hesitant. My biggest adjustment I would probably make is probably do more like a +2 bonus. But then again, when something like the Staff of the Magi exists, it's really hard for me to say that it shouldn't be this way because of X, Y, and Z. Because, well, let's be honest, the Staff of the Magi is really freaking strong. And from there, the other caps do a wide variety of things for your users. And this is one thing I really like about these magic items. There is a wide range to them. Some of them are meant for martial classes, some of them are meant for combat, and some of them help casters in a wide variety of ways, and some even provide feats. Which is another note, if you are someone who likes to run tables that do rules as written but allows some third-party content, and you really want to use this, you will need to look them up and look them over, because some do provide feats. And feats are not rules as written. So, unfortunately, if you use this, some caps may have to be left out. My other critique is that I think it would be beneficial, especially in the written document or even on the card, is to provide some sort of notification of saying how rare these caps are. The document seems to indicate this through the narrative that's being provided. However, having a little marker on a card would definitely be helpful, because this seems almost to be like a new DM trap, of where they see a really good magical item and they want to give it to their party, but they don't necessarily think through the potential consequences, and realizing that this was way too strong for their level and they had to learn it the hard way. While the magic rating system in 5e is honestly debatable how good it is, I think it is a generally decent marker to at least guide potentially even new DMs as to how strong something is. Again, it's not perfect. I mean, Staff of the Woodlands is what, like a rare or uncommon magic item, and that thing is broken beyond belief for that level. That should at least be very rare. Another strength of it is the fact that, well, it comes with cards. It comes with things that you can print out as a dungeon master, so you can hand it to your players. And it has the art on the card, so the players can always have a visual of what the item looks like. That is fantastic! And I love this idea because it helps communicate what this world looks like to the players, and they can visually see it on the card. Now, as to whether or not they bring the card every single week, well, that will remain to be seen, but the good news is you can always have it on hand since it's a PDF. So you can have it on your phone and you can know exactly what it does. And you can also even send that to your players. There's honestly a lot of benefits and strengths to this item. Overall, I think the Wacky and Wonderful Wild Wigs is a fantastic third-party supplement for your games. If you're feeling that your D&D game is becoming rather stale and you want to do something to spice it up a little bit, I definitely encourage you giving this a look. This will help give characters new abilities, allow them to engage in the game in a wide variety of ways, as well as even potentially provide new quest items for your characters to go on. However, if you're doing a more serious campaign, this may not be the best addition to it. Mainly due to the fact of, well, the tone is very obviously meant to be more lighthearted and goofy, and may not fit the more serious tone of campaigns. That being said, if you're running a game that is serious at moments but tends to be leaning more toward the comedic, I highly encourage you to pick this up because your table will more than likely love it. It captures all the right vibes of wacky, fun, and wild Dungeons and Dragons, while also adding a little bit of spice and lore to make it even that much deeper and actually tied to the world, and not something to exist because lol's so random, but actually have a reason to exist. All in all, this is a wonderful third-party supplement because it has tons of personality. It provides a new angle for Dungeons and Dragons and allows potentially games that are going stale to be spiced up a little bit and to embrace a little bit more of the crazy side of D&D that a lot of people really do enjoy. But above all, this book knows exactly what it is. It is unashamedly goofy, and it basks in its weirdness. And for that, I can't help but smile while reading it, and have a good time while doing so. I do recommend that all Dungeon Masters at least look over the cards to know what they can do, and potentially tweak things here or there if they see fit. But beyond that, the Wacky and Wonderful Wild Wigs book gets a recommendation from here at Literary DM. Everyone, that's the video for today. I hope it was helpful for you in some way, shape, or form, and if you do decide to pick it up, let them know that Literary DM sent you. And as always, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. It'll help us grow. Also like, comment, all that fun stuff. But until next time, everybody, keep rolling those dice.